Good morning, good day, good evening. Tracy Brown here. I don't know if you can hear my background noise, but I hope you can. The birds are chirping this morning. The fan is humming really gently, so if you can hear all that, just take that in a second. It's pretty nice. Um, so yeah, today we're going to talk about not emotional eating per se in the way that we kind of like to label it. We kind of like to think that emotional eating is always about emotional eating when we're, let's say, sad or mad or scared, and we're eating and eating and eating. And I don't define emotional eating only in those ways. I actually also talk about people emotionally undereat all the time. I emotionally underate, I emotionally overate, and I usually used to emotionally overexercise. So right now I want to take a lot of that shame and stigma away from the idea that like emotional eating always means I'm eating too much. That's not the case. And I think in my practice, it's kind of 50-50 of people who do both or go back and forth. And so I'm just going to give you all permission right this second to like, if I emotionally overeat, that's just one part of the spectrum in which people eat or not eat or move their bodies from a place of, okay, I'm going to use the reactionary form of that, and I'm going to talk about just being a human being that we sometimes eat because we're happy, and we want to, and that's okay too. So anyway, but I know we're all here because we're concerned with, like, what do I do about this? This bothers me. I feel out of control. So that's the frame we're going to talk about it today. But let's just talk about a few definitions and then get to the heart of this. So again, you just heard me talk about different kinds of emotional eating. So we can emotionally overeat, undereat, and with the movement too, but I'm not going to movement today. And then the other part of it is that as human beings, eating is pleasurable. So there are going to be times that you eat something because you're celebrating, who hasn't celebrated with food, your happiness about a new job or graduating something or whatever. So all that's real, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's just really fun, and it feels really mature to be able to say, yeah, we are totally just eating this really pleasurable food because we're super happy and we're doing that. And make that fine, make it all right. I also want to talk about, this idea that we're somehow supposed to feel like we're supposed to know everything. Like if we ever struggle with emotional eating, which probably if you're watching this you have, and not in the happy form kind of way, or like, you know what, I had a breakup, I know I'm really sad, I'm going to eat this ice cream, this stereotype, right? I'm going to do this thing, I know I'm sad, I'm going to eat some and then put it away and still cry with my friends. That's a little different. This is like that place that we believe is out of control and then we're judging ourselves for. So right off the bat, I just want to start there, is we have this idea that we're supposed to know, like, how to not, eat to feel some comfort, feel some grounding, even feel some numbness. Either way, restricting or binging. We act as if, like, now that we recognize that we're kind of doing that behavior, that, okay, I shouldn't be doing that now. Well, the truth is that if we would have had capacity and window of tolerance and a resource for some of those big, overwhelming emotions, we wouldn't probably be eating or not eating in the first place. So judging ourselves for like the tool that we've used to survive so far, I want us to stop. I just want you, if you're doing that, if you're struggling with that, right there, like, okay, I may be eating bigger quantities of some food right now because, one, I could be habituating to it if I'm trying to do intuitive eating. That totally could be happening. And or I'm needing to eat this food because a part of me, I don't really have another break or way of feeling the overwhelm or the sensation without this. So of course this would feel difficult for this. So this is our first goal and tip here. It's just to acknowledge, like, well, of course, I'm going to call emotional undereating dieting. So of course I'm restricting, I'm dieting because there have been circumstances that I've been in that have felt like too much, and it's gotten stored up and stored up and stored up. And if I'm not restricting, I want to run from it somehow because I don't know what to do with it. It feels like too much. So when I say run, I mean literally could be running Or oftentimes it's like, I'm not going to sit my butt down in a seat long enough to eat a full meal or plan it or know what I want to eat. That could be happening for you. And I say the running, like literally it's a running of like our needs. We don't even want to feel it, because if we feel it, we have to eat. If we eat, we feel more feelings. So that's one form of that. And of course, that would happen if things underneath feel a lot. So our first step here is just to acknowledge that there's been some allotness going on in our system for a really, really, really long time, and maybe things that you can't even remember or name, and that's okay. This was the thing that kept you alive, kept you out in the world functioning in some kind of way, and so here we are. And I know that you don't want to do that anymore because you're here. And the same goes for emotional eating when you're not as hungry as well. Or maybe you're a person who never really binges, but there's just this constant kind of graze going on. That could be happening too. No judgment about that. So that's kind of the thing that we view sometimes, and it's okay. The next step is recognizing that intuitive eating, interoception, learning how to know your signals and learning like where your edges are with how many hours it takes for you with a certain kind of meal to get hungry, and how long it lasts, and how that impacts your energy. That information is also super important. And turn the volume up a little bit. That's really important, but you might find yourself getting frustrated, like, I know I'm full, but I don't want to stop. And that's the next step is, interesting, that I can feel the fullness here. And can I give myself just a little bit of gap, a little bit of space? And I'm going to give you a little tip here. If you're struggling with that, I'm not one of those people like, okay, put your fork down, eat off smaller plates, do all these things. I just want you to take a breath and just take a second and find your feet on the floor and wonder like, okay, I'm full, but I feel really pushed and I'm feeling like, I don't want to stop. That's my best. I remember that feeling of like, I know I'm really full of this cookie dough. I don't want to stop. And sometimes I would stop because I recognized I wasn't full and I was already nauseous. And I could feel that wave of sadness. And then I had to go do something with that, usually, or I chose not to, and that's okay too. When I started to recognize I had a choice, then it became more like I wanted to make different ones sometimes, and then sometimes I wanted to make choices most of the time. And I kept building my capacity to feel little bit by little bit more and more sensation. And how did I do that? And how do I teach my clients to do that? All kinds of ways. You might need to be in nature more. You might need to feel your feet on the ground more. You might need to, move from the kitchen for a second, or your car, or wherever it is you're eating. And you always have permission to eat again, but to come back to it. Like, just take a break and come back to what's feeling so much right now, or what is it that I'm trying to fill right now? What's happening? So the flip side, if you're an emotional undereater and you don't want to feel stuff and you want to keep running by not acknowledging your needs, the first step is, what is actually true right now? If I could be really, really brutally honest with myself, like, is this enough? Is this what I really want? Is it really true that I've had enough or I'm full? And when I ask that question to people, it's always usually, no, of course I'm not really full. Of course this is, if I could eat whatever I wanted to, I might not choose this. But this feels safe. And the same thing same questions go back to emotional, kind of eating past fullness as well, or eating when we're not hungry as well, is, we're not really talking about the food then, because it can give you a little bit of that, a smidge, and then the effect wears off pretty quickly, and then we need to move on to something that's more sustainable and actually fits the need more accurately. And so the last point I'm going to make about this is, of course, that food would be a thing, and it gets coupled up with emotion for all kinds of reasons, and this is really usually old stuff. So part of the journey is for you to kind of look back in the past a little bit to see, like, where were those times and those opportunities where it felt like I need to do certain things with my food to help me, and now it feels like a truth. And sometimes it's like when we can start to do that, we could see the bigger jump. Like, here it's 2018, and you might be having a feeling, and then before long you're restricting, or you're doing something that doesn't feel quite supportive in terms of like what your body wants with your eating. And when I say, I'm using the word restricting because so many people who are struggling with emotional eating past fullness a lot, think that like if I could just control my food, it'll fix all this. And that's not true. We need to like know what the jump is between like what we're emotionally and sensation-wise feeling in our bodies, and the jump between that and eating or not eating, and why that feels so coupled. Look, oh, I feel this feeling, I have to do this, versus I feel this sensation, this feeling, and what's happening, or how old is this, or what's going on, and then you'll start to hear the belief systems around that if you start to dive in deeper. So below I'm going to attach one of my weight loss wishes, that free guide, that free gift, because if you don't have it, you need to be using that. That will really help you with this. And also the hunger fullness chart if you don't already have it. There's no opt-in for that one. You just use it. It talks about emotional and physical hunger and fullness. If you have those gifts, great. I would love to hear how you're using them for this circumstance. So please put below, or private message me. I'm going to turn this into a blog post, so I'll go into it even more detail, and you can go over there and leave a comment if you want to. So thank you so much for coming. I'd love to hear your thoughts and questions, your concerns. I appreciate your likes. And more importantly, share this. Share this video with people that you believe could hear this message of like, controlling your food to get it right in some way, or control your emotion, or fix any emotional overeating isn't gonna it might temporarily do something in that moment, that week, but you're gonna find yourself looping and looping and looping, and I don't want you to keep doing that. So please share this video for people that you find or feel that might benefit as well. So thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to y'all real soon. Take care. Bye.